Hi, I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO, and I am so honored today to have Becky Blaine. Becky is the Deputy Director of the Arizona Office of Tourism. Becky, thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, just a little bit about Becky. Becky has spent over 16 years promoting tourism and hospitality in Arizona. She currently serves, like I said, as the Deputy Director, but the state agency is the overall one that's responsible for growing Arizona's economy through tourism promotion, which is really critical here, especially in Chandler. Becky gives the agency's international marketing efforts, overseeing media relations, trade divisions, and is responsible for long-term strategic planning. Before joining the Department of Office of Tourism, Becky spearheaded marketing and public relations efforts for IKEA here in Tempe and the Arizona Biltmore Resort. So thank you. I'm really excited, and your expertise, I think, has really helped us navigate through these difficult times. So we all know that it's pretty tough out there. How is Arizona tourism industry doing right now?
So right now, as you can probably expect, all of our key indicators are down, right? Occupancy is at an all-time low. We're seeing that slowly tick up as we've started to reopen over the last, week or so. And some resorts and hotels never actually closed. They were never officially closed by a governor's order. But we all know from lack of business travel or, leisure visitation that just kind of happened naturally. So we've estimated that over 40% of our workforce in tourism in Arizona has been laid off or furloughed. So that's just over 80,000 workers. And that's according to one of the most recent studies by Tourism Economics. And then spending is big business for tourism in Arizona. So last year, calendar year 18, visitors spent over $24.4 billion in Arizona. And just in the month of March, due to the shutdown, the state lost over $2 billion in visitor spending. And so, when we look at those kinds of numbers, we know we have a lot of ground to make up. We've already started working on our recovery campaign for the state. But we know, this coming year when we're looking at numbers, like we're not going to hit what we hit. We started to get our calendar year 2019 numbers because all of the visitation is based on a calendar year, even though we operate on a state fiscal year. And those numbers are normally released at our governor's conference annually in July. So we're still going to release our numbers in July, but we know that now that we're in 2020 and we, had a great start to 2020, COVID-19 has really taken a big bite out of all of our, economic headway that we were making.
Well, and it's interesting here in Chandler, we have a contract, the Chandler Chamber has a contract with the city of Chandler where we produce our Ostrich Festival, where we will bring in about 100,000 people in about 2.5 days here in Chandler. And we always bring in some big name acts and so forth. And this year we were set to open on March 13th. And an hour and 45 minutes before we were supposed to open, the president came on with the state of emergency. So unfortunately, we here were not able to open. So that had a tremendous effect here. And so I know exactly. The other thing, and I want to just quick mention, you and I were talking about it a little bit earlier, is, we're hosting those roundtable discussion groups with our hoteliers and also some of our event venues. And because they're really reaching out to us and asking, what can you do? How can we help? And so forth. And we're hearing some pretty interesting things, some of the things that you just actually reiterated. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, because one of the big controversies is pools and spas have recently reopened. Some have, some haven't. How has that been for our resorts and some of our properties? Because we're hearing mixed views.
Yeah, so we know, you can't have a summer staycation season in the valley without a pool. And so that was really kind of, the big thing that a lot of these hotels and resorts was waiting for was guidance and clearance to be able to reopen the pools, the spas, the fitness centers, to really kind of offer those amenities to hotel and resort guests. And so as soon as the pools got the clearance to reopen and some of these hotels and resorts were able to put their staycation packages on sale, we've heard some great stories already within the first, 48 to 72 hours. they were receiving tremendous bookings, which is really positive sign that, Arizonans are really tired of being in their homes and they really want a vacation. So the thing, to note with all of that though, is that there is clear guidance from the CDC. The hotels and resorts have enhanced cleanliness procedures. Many of these hotels and resorts have taken to disinfecting all of the pool loungers at the beginning of the day, separating them out by the family group sizes, and then really maintaining that social distancing between those groups of people. And then still working on, whether it's to-go food or things like that from their pool facilities that offer food, and looking at how to keep everybody safe. I mean, that's one thing that hotels really excel at, right? In our industry, they understand, they've got all the different guidelines, and now with the CDC and the Arizona Department of Health Services guidelines related to COVID-19, extra cleanliness measures. So I think that's what's building consumer confidence. If hotels and resorts can make sure that those guidelines that they're putting forth are, if they're enhanced over and above what the CDC and DHS recommends, make sure that they are front and center on their website. Make sure that customers can see them before they book, because that's going to build that consumer confidence, and they know that they're going to feel safe and secure being able to bring their family, to your hotel if you're following these measures.
That's great information. In fact, on one of our roundtables that we had, that was one of the things that they talked about. The other thing I was really impressed with is many of them talked about that even after a guest stays there, they're not opening that room even for their cleaning crew for 3 days. They shut it down. And I thought, wow, I hadn't even thought about that, but that was impressive.
Yeah, I think now is the time where the hotels have that ability, because they're not going to be at full capacity, that they can really rotate rooms like that and follow those, special cleaning procedures, where CDC is saying 24 hours, but I hear a lot of hotels are doing that 72-hour, break in between guests and rooms. And like you said, not allowing even the housekeeping, team to come in and clean that. So they're really looking out for the safety of not only their employees, but also their guests, which is great.
That's pretty impressive. You are doing so much to support businesses. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, so right when this all started in March, and we saw that first estimate from Tourism Economics of, the number of industry workers in Arizona that would potentially be laid off, and we started to hear, groups were canceling, and we know group business is, sometimes 60 to 70% of the hotel's main revenue streams. And knowing that all these workers were going to be furloughed and laid off, we kicked into action a workforce promotion with the Arizona Commerce Authority, who we office with. So we have a website called aztourismjobs.com that we've been promoting for the last 2 months. And that is connecting, laid off or furloughed workers that want to still work with, urgent hiring needs with some of these, essential services, whether it's, grocery stores or healthcare, or we've gotten job inquiries from all kinds of different companies right now that are still hiring. So you'd really be surprised when you look at the website, the different job opportunities that are out there. So if anybody is still looking for a job while their hotel maybe, not back to full capacity yet, or their business not back to full capacity yet, then we do have those opportunities. So it was one way we were trying to assist the industry. And then we've talked to well over 150 tourism leaders around the state, all the different regions in the state, and had listening sessions. So not only for the governor's office to hear from the tourism industry, but then for our own programs as well, finding out what our cities and towns need, what the tribes are looking for in terms of help right now as well, and then what people need to get back to business, and whether it was those PPE resources we talked about earlier, to really, workforce training, or, following those guidelines and making sure that we get the guidelines out and communicated really in a good way. And now we've really started to focus on that reopening and recovery campaign. We're calling it Rediscover Arizona. There's 4 phases, and the first phase actually has already kicked off with social media promotion. And it's all going to be about Arizonans at first getting out to rediscover parts of Arizona. And we're very mindful of promoting places that actually want and or need tourism right now. Well, everybody might need tourism right now. We're very specific in the communities that actually want it right now, because we don't want to stretch anyone's resources. We want to make sure that we're promoting those, state parks or wide open spaces and places that people can enjoy and still have social distancing measures in place. And so that's all layered into this campaign. And then we'll move into phase one, which is more of those, phase one is now, and then phase two is really that regional drive market. And so then once we, are safe to do so and can promote to multiple states around us, then we'll start to see that, business start trickling in as well. Phase three moves on to outside of the kind of regional drive market and more into short haul flights, our traditional target cities, whether it's San Francisco, Seattle, Minneapolis, Chicago, Dallas, places like that. But that's a little further down the road. We don't even really have a timeline attached to that yet, because we want to see where we are with this phase one and then into phase two before we start moving on to that phase three short haul flights. And that's also going to depend on airline flight schedules and things like that. And the final phase, which could be, 6-8 months from now or maybe more, depending on what international overseas business is looking like. And we're monitoring that consistently. We're waiting for, more information on those flights as well. But we know international makes up just over 15% of our total visitation annually. And they stay an average of 21 days in the United States and an average of 3 to 4 nights in each location. So it is big business for us in Arizona, especially with the Grand Canyon and all of our surrounding communities. But it is for business travel as well. So we're really keeping an eye on all those factors. But luckily for us, Canada and Mexico are a drive market for Arizona. So they will be grouped into that phase two drive market. So as soon as those borders are able to reopen again too, then we can promote that international that's not overseas business.
How do people keep up with, because we know that things change daily. How can people, where should they go to find the latest information on all of this?
So the main ways that we communicate are our weekly Tourism Tuesday newsletter that our executive director, Debbie Johnson, puts out every week. And as we've gotten, through this over the last 2 months, we've done a special edition sometimes we've had 2 editions in one day, depending on if the governor's office was making a special announcement that we needed to communicate to the industry, or we've had a Wednesday edition, a Thursday edition, things like that. So if you go to tourism.az.gov, you can sign up. I think it's /Tourism Tuesday. You can see the past editions and then sign up to receive it as well. So once you're in that database, you'll get all those communications from us on things that we're working on, ways that you can participate with us. And then also, if you go to AZ Tourism News on Twitter, that is our industry Twitter channel. And we not only put out the Tourism Tuesday newsletter link on that, but then we're communicating other things that we're doing as well, special announcements, any of the guidance, things like that as well. So our main industry website is that tourism.az.gov, which is a great resource for all business owners. And then the consumer site, if you're planning travel, is what visitarizona.com will do.
Which is great information. And I know that as our local communities are opening up, people, you can just feel that sense of, okay, they're still being cautious, but they're ready. They're ready to do things. And I agree with you. I think you're going to see more and more staycations throughout the summer, just because people, they just don't have the means to travel, but they need to get away. And so how can the Chandler Chamber help in, because tourism, even though we don't have a lot of big resorts in that here, we have a lot of business travel. So yes. And I came from the tourism industry years ago. So I know how important, it's an economic engine. It's a driver here in Arizona. What can we do to help?
So what you're already doing is fantastic, is, working with your members and making sure that they're opening responsibly, they're following the CDC and the Arizona Department of Health Services guidelines. Those are all posted on tourism.az.gov too. We have a link right on that homepage. So people are excited to welcome visitors. We know, like you said, tourism is an economic driver. It's big business in Arizona. And so I would say, continue to encourage your members to engage with organizations like ours and see, other ways that they can participate. I know you guys, work with us at the city of Chandler to promote tourism and have a very robust marketing program, and you're marketing to not only domestically but then those visitors from Mexico as well, and that come to Arizona and spend a lot of money, whether it's shopping, dining, things like that, as well as the business travel that you're attracting. And that's kind of one of our next set of guidelines that we're working on, is the meetings and events protocol. I know you mentioned your ostrich festival and things like that, and we know that events all around the state have felt the pinch of having to cancel from COVID-19, because many times these are one of your main fundraisers for your organization or for your city. And so we'll be looking at those guidance, and we'll be working with the governor's office to make sure that what we've put out is safe but still allows business to occur. We know there's going to be a lot more things like this, some virtual meetings, some smaller in-person meetings and things like that. But no doubt, just like 10 years ago when we went through the recession and meetings mean business kind of came about because of that whole thing, that business travel is essential to our country and our economy. And so we are looking at ways to keep working with our destinations to promote business travel as well, and to make sure that people can feel safe and secure when they come to Arizona. They know that they're not only going to have a really good experience, but they're going to have a safe experience as well. And so I think everything that you guys are doing and encouraging your businesses to do is great, and it's going to be great to focus on re-energizing the economy now through tourism and business promotion.
Well, and I know that Kimberly at the city of Chandler does a great job on our tourism efforts, but then we're also unique as a chamber because we also have our collaborative partners, the Gila River, Indian community, and just making sure that we're helping both of our collaborative partners there. So I just want to thank you, Becky, for taking the time, because I think that the information that you're providing is so critical. And the more information that we can get out to people, the more educated we can make people, the faster we're going to come out of this. So thank you again. Thank you for all your work. Keep up your great work, and we'll make sure that we get those websites posted as great resources. So thank you.
Thank you so much.